Narratives of change is a concept that we use in the Transit project to study how initiatives and the people that work therein themselves refer to their theory of change. So what is their own idea about how change comes about? So narratives of change are sets of ideas, concepts, metaphors and storylines that people tell about the world and change, and it reveals how they think, why the world needs to change, how the world should change, and also who has the power to do so. And when you look across all these different initiatives and movements, you see that there are many different narratives. So it can really range from narratives that focus very much on personal lifestyle change or living in community, to those that talk much more about changing economic models or the sharing economy, or others that are more about political activism and institutional reform. What you see is that these specific narratives are a very important driving force behind the actual physical change. So it's not just about people sitting around telling each other stories, but they really use it to inform themselves on what to do and what activities to implement. And what you will see in the interviews is that individuals, often very committed individuals, often have a very strong own sense of a narrative of how they want to change the world, and that these individual narratives then often relate to these broader narratives that we see in society that we have studied in the Transit project.
Last November I was laying in bed, not able to sleep. And then at some point this image popped up in my head of very different people coming together, listening to each other and actually making a vision of what they want to change locally. And then 1 month later that actually happened, and that's where Transform Tilburg started. I have this very global kind of sensitivity, you know, we have all those huge interconnected issues of whatever you want to call it, climate change, poverty, all of that. And I feel that those people who are involved in change making are sometimes not really learning from each other or cooperating on action. So sometimes they really have their focus on poverty, which is great, you know, in a way. But I feel like it needs people and organizations who take that task of being in between those organizations. So making sure that there's knowledge flowing and we can have actions, and that's where I personally want to go, and also with this organization where I want to go. So Transform Tilburg is really about bridging and weaving together those people who are involved in change making already locally. I've connected with so many people and with nature, and I just fell in love with the world. This love and this connection, and also the devastation about the destruction we are actually causing, is driving me, you know. It's like every day, you know, sometimes you're really devastated and you have to grieve and you're furious because of the things that are happening in the world, and sometimes you really see the beauty, you know, and you really have that connection, and the kind of this tension between the two is just bringing me forward, and it's generating all those visions and ideas and energy, and like, you know, sometimes I'm really lying in bed buzzing, you know, like, wow, so many things to do, wow, yeah. And it's really amazing also, like the more you step into the world and bring your gifts and your talents to the world, the more the world will also react, you know, and you will have those amazing encounters, yeah. And it's beautiful, and there's a lot of terror in it. So it's kind of this paradox.
So a time banking network is a mechanism where people will exchange time with one another and not money. So it's on an hour for an hour basis. Everyone's time is equal, no matter what they're exchanging. And time banking is an asset-based philosophy. So we believe that every single person in society has got something of value. Time banking is very informal, drop in, drop out, do things when you want to do it, help another person in their home or their garden. People do things in the time banking network to the best of their ability, so it's not a professional service, just like you would help a friend or a neighbour. Whilst I was running that time bank for 2 years, I came across a lot of potential problems. People would ask, what happens if something goes wrong, before something would go wrong? And they would say, so if somebody helps me and they damage something in my house or they stole something from me, what would I do? Who is responsible for that? Is that my fault or is that your fault? And it got us thinking about this process. So there needs to be somebody that is the decision maker, not just me. I was running my time bank, but we needed to have a group of people maybe. So that was the beginning, I think, of trying to formalise the time bank activities. So when we help time banks set up, we will ask them those questions now, right at the very beginning. So what is your governance structure? Are you going to be an organisation? And if you're going to be an organisation, are you going to have a decision-making group? And then we talk through the legal structures that they might take.
If someone would ask me professionally what I'm doing, I would say that I'm a network entrepreneur and I'm a facilitator and I'm an evolutionary mentor. So for me, it's really important that I'm starting, the change with myself. So shifting from living in the middle of Lisbon to living in the top of the mountain brings a lot of, I'd say, change cells into my system. So my system knows what it means to live in a place where I can, engage with the land, where I can grow up my food. What it means to build up, a table. What it means to, retrofit a barn. Things that I never would do it as a consultant. I'm doing it as, as living in that space. And I see many researchers that are here, that's this dimension of embodiment. They are also activists, they are also people that are working on behalf of the planet. Then you can really be authentic, then you can really speak about it when it's like it comes through you. So it can't be, like when we talk about like the change and the Gandhi's world, you can't be an instrument of change if you are not changed by yourself. So you don't embody the change.